Yo, what up guys, OPTCG Daniel here, back at it again with a ruling video. I'm joined with, once again, Dragonautica, our favorite Dutch judge.
Yeah, hello.
And today we're gonna have it about some meta leaders, because a lot of people don't actually know the rules around them apparently. So, which leader do you want to start with?
Let's start, with the starter deck, right? The starter deck Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom, as we all know her. This is one that we talked about it before, right? About bold text being a cost that has to be paid.
Yeah.
Surprise, the bold text has to be paid. So you actually have to take the card from the top of or bottom of your life, and then you get the effect. The fortunate part of that is the fact that the effect only goes into effect after you paid the cost, right? So that means at 3 life, if you activate Big Mom through her effect, you grab the 3rd life, you're back on 2 then, and then Big Mom says, hey, if you have 2 or less life, you can put 1 back. And, the card looks and says, oh, there's 2. Well, you can put 1 back and you're back on 3. Right? So you can already activate it at 3 life. That's something that people don't really know yet. So it's a good tip, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And if you are at 1 life or 2, and then you do the effect, it doesn't count, right?
No, because you're still at 2 or less life. So only when you're at 0, that's the other thing. If you're at 0 life, you can't pay the cost, so you can't get the effect.
Yeah, that was the one, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
so
heard a lot of people being confused about that, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Like you know how strong Linlin actually is in body battle. You start at X minus 2 life, right? So Linlin starts at 3 life. From turn 2, you can start stacking your triggers. So that's why at body battle, I always try to rush Linlin to 0, so she can't really activate the ability anymore.
Alright, that's good to know for future body events.
Yeah, they're gonna come, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's move on to one of my favorite leaders, but unfortunately not that strong. Arlong, right? Arlong has an effect where he can play up to 1 character card, as the card says, with a cost of 4 or less and a trigger from your hand. I've had questions about similar cards, which state something like this, and they'll say, "Can I play a character with a cost of 4 and a character with trigger?" I always look to those people in the eyes and say, "Do you think that would that be balanced? Right? You could put the Yamato starter deck Linlin, Olin is what they call it, which is a 7 cost with a trigger. You could then put a 4 cost character and a 7 cost character in for 1 Don, right? No, it has to be a 4 cost character with a trigger ability. So you can only put in 1 card with which is 4 cost or less and has a trigger. That's the one that I've been seeing as well.
Yeah, no, totally sounds fair.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to a bigger one, right? A bit more intricate. Nami. We've talked about this a little bit of this episode. Nami has a few interesting points in her rules text that I feel we should talk about. First of all, let's talk about the ability with 1 Don attached and she hits the leader. Her effect goes off. You hit the leader with Nami while having 1 Don attached. Her effect goes off after the opponent takes the life, looks at the life, but before the trigger occurs. Then you can so he looks at life, Nami trashes the card from the top of the deck, and then the opponent can activate the trigger. Much as like with Zeph and Usopp, who all have the same ability. But the more interesting one is when your deck is reduced to 0, you win the game instead of losing according to the rules. There are a few things that are very intricate about it. First of all, the moment your deck reaches 0 cards, rule number 912 states that fundamental rule processing supersedes, it's not the exact wording, but supersedes any other thing that is happening at that moment. So the moment Nami hits 0 life, doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a battle, doesn't matter if you're in the middle of countering, the moment you hit 0 cards in your deck, you win the game with Nami. Also, if you have 1 card in your deck and you play a Kaya who says draw 2, still the game will try to do as much as it can, so you still draw the 1 and then just win, even though the card says draw 2, which would be impossible.
Yeah, no, I've seen that Kaya question a lot of times indeed. And also, my first question against you when we saw Nami at locals, I said, hey, if Nami has 0 lives, 1 card in deck, and I swing with Whitebird with 20k, and if she uses a counter event that trashes the last card, do I win or does the Nami win? You said the Nami wins.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's why, right? 912, rule processing, fundamentals comes first. Even though she's in the middle of her counter phase, she just wins.
That made me fear the deck.
For sure. It's unfortunate, right, that they banned Cabbage, because that, I think that would have made her meta viable. Now, if you know how to play against her, it's not a difficult deck to beat. It just goes just a bit too slow. It just misses 1 key card, I believe. Just 1 more 4-off that she can properly use. Utilize, and then it will for sure become a meta deck. So keep that one in mind, right? It'll come back one day in further sets. Right, let's go on to Lucci. Lucci is also a very interesting one because it's the, if I recall correctly, and I don't know all the cards by heart, it's the first card that has an auto effect which requires a cost to actually occur, even though it's a once per turn effect. So there are multiple interesting layers that we should discuss about this, in my opinion. So Lucci, his effect occurs the moment something is KO'd, because an auto effect needs to have an event occur before it activates. So you don't have to trash 2 and then try to KO something for it to happen. No, something KOs, and then you get the opportunity to pay the cost to get the effect. The effect is only considered resolved when the cost is paid and the effect happens. So therefore, if you KO something first and you don't use the ability, and you KO something else, then you can still use the effect even though it's once per turn. But then, of course, you've used the effect, and you can't use it again. This differs from like the Blurple Kaido, which when it done is attached to him and something is KO, his ability will just go off. And then if you have 10 done back at that point, it's just, yeah, too bad for you, right? So, yeah. Lucci is very interesting leader. I'm happy it actually is performing decent. It won regional recently, I think.
Yeah, Treasure Cup.
Yeah, Treasure Cup, right? Oh, so cool, so cool. The one I've seen happening is with Charlotte Katakuri. We all know Katakuri is a very popular deck right now. So far, all the store championship I've judged, 25% have been Katakuri. But Katakuri's ability only lets you look at the top life of you or your opponent's life cards.
And not the bottom.
And not the bottom. Yeah. I can't. It's nothing about rules. The card says it, right? So please, for anyone's mental stability, just read the card from time to time. Just refresh your mind about how something works. Because I've seen it happen.
Yeah. And so what leader do we have left?
All right, we have Ace. Ace is also a very interesting character, which his ability is whenever he attacks or is attacked, you can trash any number of events or stage cards from your hand, and then he gets 1k power during that battle for every card trashed. Yeah, strong effect. A bit unfortunate in how rules are processed for him is that his ability goes off, his ability happens just before you can actually counter with character cards and paying for the event, right? Like getting 3k through a guard point. It's because how the rules are stated. When attacked, when it is attacked, happens before that. So you first have to discard events and stages for Ace effect, and after that you can counter with your characters and normal event casting or casting playing, right? Keep this in mind because if you are attacked as an Ace player and you start first trashing a 2k counter, that physical movement already indicates you've passed the event activation of Ace. So you can't really trash any events for Ace's effect. Keep that in mind, even though it's unfortunate, right? Because it shouldn't really matter much which goes first, but it does because it has the when is attacked ability, which other characters or leaders could have in the future as well, and that's why it's put at that point in the rules. So you have to follow that. There's another one that has recently got an errata, which was still partially incorrect. Magellan, I think you know him as well.
Yeah.
Magellan states that whenever a Don is put into your Don deck, according to the errata, a Don is put into your Don deck, he gets plus 1k or something like that. His ability activates when a Don is put into your Don deck.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it changed from your Don to your Don deck to a Don to your Don deck. So I'm very excited to learn if there ever is going to be a moment where the Don of your opponent goes into your Don deck. But
Yeah.
I doubt. No, it's wrong. It's actually supposed to be whenever a Don returns to their owner's Don or to a Don deck, right? Supposed to the owner's deck. So it only also count. It not only it also counts for the Don of your opponent being put into their deck. Yeah, unfortunate. Third time's the charm, I guess, for this one. It's baffling, right? Yeah, that's what Magellan is about now.